Well, yes, hello everyone. Good to see you all here, and especially it's really good to welcome my friend and colleague Boris for here to Norway and to Kirkenes and to the border. Of course, we meet in the most serious security situation in Europe for many decades, and the Russian attack on Ukraine is ongoing. And we, of course, condemned it as strong as we can, and will stand by Ukraine and support them for as long as it takes. And a few words about where we are really. Norway has always seek to maintain stability in the high north, having predictable and transparent relationship with Russia. We are always vigilant in this area, aware of the significant Russian military capabilities just across the border. We focus on deterrence with presence and good situational awareness, also together with close allies. At the same time, we seek a reassurance and a calibrated Norwegian and allied activity in the high north. And to the Norwegian-German relationship, I really have to say that this is stronger than ever before. This is very important, and we want to continue to deepen and broaden this cooperation. We are long-standing and close partners in defense procurements, and we have recently entered into a long-term strategic partnership on submarines and missiles. This partnership is valuable in economic terms, but it also brings us closer together as allies. And that gives security for both our nations. So I'm very grateful to Boris for finding the time to travel with me to the northern part of Norway, and hopefully also get an even better understanding of the security challenges in the high north. And also to see the challenges when it comes to operating in Arctic areas. Our defense forces must be able to handle harsh Arctic conditions, and it is of the greatest importance that we practice these skills together on a regular basis. So that is also why I'm looking forward to visit the exercise Nordic response together with Boris tomorrow. So it's good to have you here, and you are welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm very glad to be here with my friend and colleague Bjørn. We know each other now for a little bit more than a year. First met in February last year at UDCG in Ramstein. I well remember because the relation between us was quite tight from the first moment on, because we tend to speak the same language, not really Norwegian or German, but kind of language. So this is quite comfortable and quite sympathetic for me at least. So I'm very glad to be here, and I'm sorry that we had to postpone it to come here last autumn because of reasons. Now I'm here. I came from Sweden, and I spent time with you here in Kirkenes and Vasvik, and tomorrow in Alta. And then I will go on to Finland, which explains very well why I am here, because Scandinavia and Finland are crucial for security in the Northern Sea, in the Arctic, and therefore I was very keen to come here to welcome Sweden and Finland in NATO, of course, but especially to come here to Norway, because the relations between Norway and Germany is much closer than between some other countries, not only when it comes to cooperation in defense industry, in systems like, for example, that submarine 212 CD, which we have been talking again about today, and we will, I think, extend that cooperation during the next years. It depends, of course, of the money we get both by our parliaments, but still we are working hard on it. Another example, for example, is to extend joint procurement in any other aspect, like ESSI. You are a member of ESSI too. Like, for example, presence in the Arctic, in the Arctics. We talked about that too, because I really would appreciate to be here with Bundeswehr in some more efforts to be here to show presence, because I think it's very important, especially after I have seen what I've seen in the last hour here at the border. And rooted in shared, and we share values and interests. We both know the fact that our citizens live in freedom is what Putin frightens the most, and therefore this explains his aggressive actions, his hybrid attacks, and of course his threats against the West. And therefore it is even more important than ever to stick together, to plan joint cooperations and joint exercises, which is another step we want to approach during the next month and years. This is why it's so important for our armed forces to coordinate closely so that we can deter and defend together, and doing it effectively. We cooperate already closely in many areas, so like I already mentioned earlier, the submarine U-212CD, naval strike missile Leopard 2A8, not to forget about that, but also on operation at the eastern flank. I'm very grateful for your contribution to the battle group in Lithuania, which is very helpful and very good example for our close cooperation. And of course the reason we are here together for joint exercises both on land and Nordic Responses 24 is ongoing at the moment, and at sea, where our navies conduct regular missile and torpedo firing exercises in Andoya. So I am very glad to be here. We can learn a lot of each other, and I learned a lot during the last hour seeing at the towers those conscripts doing their service over there. 4 young men, conscripts, with no officers over there, just doing their job and loving it, and doing it very, very efficiently and with a lot of passion. I was really impressed by talking to them. I'm also impressed by the high proportion of service women in the Norwegian army, which is about 40%. It's a long way to go for the German army still. We have something to learn from you in this regard, and we will gladly do so. I'm very interested and looking forward to what we can learn by Norwegian army. These young people guard and secure about, the people I just met, 190 kilometers of borderline between Norway and Russia. For all of us, and this is really impressive to see the river and to see the border just about 2 kilometers away. And I was really impressed by what they are doing. This was valuable experience for me today. Thank you for the opportunity. Places like this very clearly show what it means to be willing and to be able to defend every inch of NATO territory, including in the high north of Europe. So thank you for all.
We will now open for some questions. You are first.
Yes, my name is Carsten Hoffmann, German news agency dpa. Sir, I have a question for you. Could you explain a bit more in detail how your estimations about security in the north have changed in the last 2 years? And a question to you, Minister Pistorius, if I may in German, because it's more handy. Sie stehen hier ganz unmittelbar an der Grenze zu Russland. Sie sehen, wie die norwegische Demokratie ihren jungen Menschen mehr zutraut, man kann auch sagen, vielleicht mehr zumutet als wir in Deutschland. Müssen wir auch mehr tun für unsere eigene Sicherheit? Und was?
Okay, ich fange gerne an. Schön, dass Sie mir die Frage stellen, weil Sie wollen natürlich hören, was Sie hören wollen, aber ich antworte gerne darauf. Ja, ich habe nie einen Hehl daraus gemacht. Ich glaube, dass wir in Zeiten, in denen es keine militärische Bedrohung in Europa gab, vertretbar war und richtig war, vielleicht darauf zu verzichten. Ich glaube nur, dass wir jetzt auf Zeiten zulaufen, in denen wir umsteuern müssen, und zwar sowohl was die Frage der personellen Verstärkung der Bundeswehr als solcher geht, aber gerade auch, wenn es darum geht, die gemeinschaftliche gesellschaftliche Verantwortung für Sicherheit neu zu beleben. Es geht nicht nur um die Verteidigungsbereitschaft nach außen, die kann nicht von einem Staat nur mit professionellen Soldaten betrieben werden, gewährleistet werden, sondern auch eben der Zivilschutz nach innen. Auch das ist ja ein Modell in Skandinavien, was, wie ich finde, hochinteressant ist, nämlich klarzumachen, dass der Schutz nach innen eben auch eine Aufgabe von allen ist, weil er alle betrifft. Und für die Wehrpflicht gilt eben, egal ob jetzt mit Dienstpflicht oder ohne, dass wir, da wiederhole ich mich, diese Diskussion unbedingt führen müssen, auch gerade nach den Ergebnissen, gerade nach den Erkenntnissen, die wir heute hier gewonnen haben und in Schweden.
Well, about the security situation in the high north, we have a border with Russia. We want, as I said, stability and predictability in this region. Of course, after the attack on Ukraine, the situation has changed in the respect that our cooperation with Russia is different now than what it was. We have some lines of communication open. I think that's important. But besides of that, the cooperation is on a whole other level. And of course, we know that Russia, near from where we are now, have some very significant military capabilities, not at least their submarines, their nuclear forces. So for Norway, it's always important to monitor the situation in the high north. Be present here, have situational awareness, follow the activity, be predictable, but at the same time show that we are present here from the Norwegian military, but also in cooperation with close allies. So it's good to have good allies and friends in times like this.
Yes, sir, could you please explain a little bit about your concerns about hybrid warfare from the Russian side? Is that a grave concern you have? Und Herr Pistorius, wenn Sie noch mal kurz auf Deutsch erläutern könnten, welche Eindrücke Sie an dem Grenzposten hatten.
Well, I think it's no doubt that hybrid threats has become high on the agenda the last years. For instance, when it comes to critical infrastructure, you know, Norway has, just when it comes to gas pipelines on the bottom of the North Sea, we have about 9,000 kilometers. And this is important for us, of course, but it's also important for the continent, for the rest of Europe, that this energy supply is ongoing, especially when we have seen that energy also can be used in some way in a conflict. So we have increased our presence, our monitoring of this infrastructure, but in that respect we also cooperate with close allies. And last year I was on a shooting exercise, as you mentioned, outside Andøya with a Norwegian-German shooting exercise. I was on the frigate Mecklenburg-Vorpommern. And I know, and after this exercise, several of these German vessels also help patrol in the North Sea. So I think it's really challenging us. This is just infrastructure on the seabed, but in many respects, this is more cyber attacks, attempts to influence the debate in society and so on. So it really challenges our societies to be resilient and to be aware of what can happen.
Jetzt zu Ihrer Frage, ich stehe wirklich unter dem Eindruck der Erkenntnisse, die nicht alle neu waren, aber noch mal so kompakt zusammengetragen worden sind. Da ist zum einen die Tatsache, dass die Weltöffentlichkeit natürlich vor allen Dingen zurzeit auf die Ukraine schaut und auf den Nahen Osten, auf die militärische Bedrohung durch Russland insgesamt in Europa, aber dann erst im zweiten Blick klar wird eigentlich, dass hier oben an der Arktik, in der Arktis, im Nordmeer, die Fäden, wenn man so will, zusammenlaufen. Ein wesentlicher Arm der militärischen Macht Russlands ist hier oben versammelt. Hier gehen die Verkehre durch, hier kreuzen die U-Boote, hier kommt vieles zusammen, wovon wir in Mitteleuropa nur wenig mitbekommen. Und deswegen ist hier die Fokussierung so wichtig auf das, was passiert. Deswegen habe ich gerade erwähnt, wir sind bereit, uns hier auch mehr zu engagieren durch Präsenz, so wie wir es in der Vergangenheit getan haben. Und das wollen wir fortführen. Wir wollen aber auch die Rüstungskooperation fortführen. Stichwort U-Boot, Stichwort Fregatte 127. Auch darüber werden wir noch reden in den nächsten 2 Tagen oder bis morgen Mittag. All das macht klar, dass die geostrategische Lage, die militärische Lage heute eine definitiv andere ist als vor 2 Jahren. Und das fordert uns heraus. Und das fordert uns heraus, auch unseren Blick zu weiten für Modelle, die andere haben und Vorgehensweisen, die andere machen. So wie ich es gerade gesagt habe, wir müssen auch voneinander lernen wollen. Und das können wir. Und das tun wir auch. Und ich sage mal, das Beispiel der Wehrpflichtigen, die diese Beobachtungstürme besetzen, ist ein sehr beeindruckendes. Das sind Türme entlang der Grenze. Man guckt von einem keine 2 Kilometer bis zum Ufer des Passvik-Flusses. Auf der anderen Seite liegt Russland mit all den Einrichtungen, die man sehen kann oder eben auch nicht. Und für mich ist wahnsinnig beeindruckend gewesen, hier 4 Wehrpflichtige zu sehen, die über mehrere Monate ohne Handy, ohne Internet ihren Dienst tun und ohne Offiziere in Eigenverantwortung. Ich finde das sehr beeindruckend und zeigt eben, was man tun kann. Und das ist übrigens auch eine Frage, die wir uns dann stellen müssen, wenn es um die Wehrpflicht, die Dienstpflicht in Deutschland geht. Wofür wollen wir Wehrpflichtige haben? Auch das ist eine inhaltliche Frage, die zu diskutieren wird. Man sieht aber hier, was alles möglich ist. Und ich glaube, mit solchen Fragen müssen wir uns intensiv beschäftigen, weil es letztlich auch darum geht, das Bewusstsein zu wecken dafür, dass jeder und jede in unserem Land einen Beitrag zur Sicherheit, zu unserer aller Sicherheit leisten kann.